In this video, we're going to be going over my favorite 8 mixed media materials for mark making and drawing, and it looks like I already was playing with them. And if you want to count coffee as a material, well, 9. I'm Natalie D'Adamio. I'm a mixed media abstract artist, soulful creator, intuitive guide and channel, and here it's all about letting loose and letting go and finding that freedom, not just in our mark making and our art, but also in these other elements. So I want to bring in the philosophy, the deep soulful energy and emotion, and open up those doors. So what I'll be doing is going over each one individually. And, ooh, some of them are sealed right now. Some of them are not. I'll be opening up this mystery package. It's my favorite pastels, but I can't order them anymore. But I'll crack into it and I'll try to suggest an alternative. There's also a bunch of graphite that I love. So there's 8 things here, and I'll just go through each. Be mark making. We'll end up making one big drawing when we're done. Start with the graphite. This is just Derwent graphite. Comes in a tin. There's also, it's gonna be different colors. They have a green and a blue one, which is exciting. And then this Lyra stick. They're water soluble. This one happens to be a 9B. It's the darkest one, but there's a couple other weights. And then this is an art graphite stick. So what I'm going to be doing is showing you these 8 favorite mixed media materials and just making one big drawing. I'll just be using each material to make a drawing. Maybe if I feel like I want to do more, I might. I don't know. We'll see what happens once I get this paper going. So I had started with these. So I'm gonna start with a Derwent graphite. You know what I love about these is they're just really thick. I love something that's, you know, fits in your hand and you can really let go. What's cool is that there's a blue and a green one. Green. So it makes a nice mark. I love it. There's some different colors, right? And then we have just a regular standard one. So those are fun. So the next favorite thing, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, a Lyra graphite stick. It's water soluble. It makes this is a 9B. It makes a nice dark mark. Ooh. They come in other weights. You can, you know, wet it down and it will, you know, you can activate it with water. Actually, I think the Derwent ones are also water soluble. Whoops. There you go. So what's cool about these two things is you can activate these graphites with water And yeah, it adds another like element to it. And they have this art graph. Like it's what I like about that is how like square it is. It also makes a nice dark mark. So I guess for the graphite, I'll get a new paper now so we can move on to the next things, just because there's a lot going on there. So the next thing is these Charvin, I don't know, it's from Paris. They're water-soluble painting sticks. One thing I don't like about them is they tend to break very easily. The way I work is a little aggressive sometimes, so I'm always looking for something that isn't gonna break as easily. But I feel like these break very easily. I still like them though. I like the texture of them. You can also get these wet. And they come in like, you know, one set of blues and grays and browns, and then you have the brighter colors on top, but they're not necessarily like the brightest, like in regards to when we think saturation, so they're still more muted to me, but they're really nice. When I'm drawing, sometimes I'll just let like my hand smear that I don't mind. It's like something that's gonna be interesting to me. And the next thing is just these, they're like called junior artist. Look at the sun, wee! They're, I guess, geared for kids, but in my world, I don't really pay attention to any of the labeling within the products. I just go towards what I like. People might have different opinions about that, but there's a nice rainbow set. You know, I found these they were on clearance at Staples for like $2.46. So and you'll find them cheaper, right? Like, so it's an oil pastel. And it's just like a nice range of bright colors. What I like about these is you can kind of smear them, which makes another interesting mark. These don't break as easy, but you know, everything eventually breaks. It's kind of all about, the way I look at mixed media materials and materials in general is really about finding like what's most interesting to you, the artist, so me. And not really, I don't like to discredit anything, because I think it's a dangerous thing to discredit things in art and life, because you never know what's going to be the opener. It has like, you know, it has like a deep commentary, like the way I view the materials and the way I view the like values within the thing. It's a little strange, I guess. There's always another layer over here to what I'm thinking about or doing or saying. And that's how I like my art. I wanna like think about it. I wanna be confused. I wanna kind of be drawn in. Next material that I'm going to use here is these King Art gel sticks, which these are relatively new. I just tried them out like within the last 6 months. I think I just found them at Barnes & Noble. I like to go to Barnes & Noble a lot and get like a coffee drink and wander around. The thing I don't like about these is, I'll just tell you the con, is that they'll wear out fast, and there's not that much like color versus like plastic. That's kind of a con, but they're really nice. They have this like lipstick quality. They're called gel sticks. Don't know what makes them gelin, but oh, I shouldn't have used my favorite color. So I think they're fun. I've been using them. It's kind of like in between a crayon and an oil pastel. Like it's a little strange, but it feels nice when you're like, when you have the extension into your hand and then you're making the marks. It feels nice. I'm always looking for the feeling for me in everything, really. It has to be kinetic, and I want it to connect, and so I look for that like in a material. And these are probably like 20 to 25 bucks. They aren't gonna like cost you a lot. Next thing, and I'll get a new piece of paper, I guess. Here we go. This is gonna be from Switzerland, the Caran. Am I butchering that? They're like Neo colors for short. These are gonna be your most expensive thing I have here. They're really nice though. I think they're worth it. I remember like splurging on this larger set was like, like I don't know if I can do it, but I did. And there's even one bigger set. So there's a rainbow of colors here, and that's exciting. These are also water soluble. Yeah, well, for me, like as a mixed media artist, and especially when I'm gonna like work into a layered work on paper, I'm just looking for something that can take this water spray and maybe create its own thing on accident. I'm not always worried about fixing it, and like I'll kind of let it do its own thing because I like to see the surprise. But what's nice is that it can work both ways, and it works really nice as a really high quality crayon. So you have like the benefits of both worlds. You know, they're just essentially like really high, like upscale crayons, but with the potential to you activate them with the water, and you know, that creates a whole nother experience, right? So it's nice to have the differences. Just you know, you can start with a smaller set and work your way up, you know, if you're on a budget or something. Sometimes if you can find the right art supply store, they'll just be sold like loosely, so you could pick and choose your own colors, which is nice, because I know I tend to gravitate towards like certain colors, and then that one is ruined, just because I like the salmon, peachy pinks, and blues. So, I think I'm gonna start a new piece of paper just because that one's like, you know, having an experience and is kind of wet now. Oh, I should talk about the paper, I guess. It's just drawing paper from dickblick.com. It's like, it's not a high pound weight paper. I think it's 60 or 80 pound, but you can get a lot of sheets for like a low cost, which I'm always looking. For me, cost is like important, so I'll try to use what's available and what's like accessible and what's gonna get my most like bang for my buck, I guess you could say. Alright, here's the mystery package. Unfortunately, I checked. You can't get these. You might be able to find some on eBay. And they, like a vintage set. I feel like this is an old brand. And I first found a vintage set that a friend of mine had that they gave me. And then I was like hooked on these Koss. I like the logo too. Look, it's like retro-y, but I can't find them. They're on eBay, Koss. One thing I found is that they're on dickblick.com, which is a US company. You could just get the Dick Blick Studio set. It's pretty comparable to like how these look and feel. These were amazing because they hold up really nice and they have a nice pigmentation and they're like relatively cheap, or they were. So this set I've been like coveting and waiting and not wanting to use it because it's my favorite. But sometimes you just have to break into it and get going. So it's like relatively simple what I'm doing, just showing you the materials. I'm just drawing, making marks, having fun, experimenting. I don't know if you noticed, one thing is that they have in common. There's color here. Color. That's, you know what's nice is these, there's these neon colors too. I really love this neon pink here. It's more of like a peachy neon. So what sucks is when you find your favorite material, sometimes it's hard to replace, and then you get used to like these when you work with them a lot. You get used to, you know, the application of everything, and like when you're working, the way intuition can work is like, oh, now I just grab my favorite stick and I make another mark and have another experience. So I always encourage my students to like learn into the like get to know the feeling of your materials. It's kind of weird. Like build a relationship with them. Because like the more you know what you love, you know, and what feels good, the more you can just like go into the mark in the moment, and you'll just gravitate, and it starts to become a rotation. So I'm gonna do one drawing now with all the materials after we walk through each one, and show you what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna make one drawing using all the media we just covered. And you know what happens for me when I was demoing the single thing, I really wanted to grab something else. So I noticed like this is hard for me to just focus on one thing. And I want to speak a little bit about that real fast, is that for me, because of my sensory output, the way I intuit and emote, and the way I work in this emotional way, I need to mix it in and out, feel the material and sometimes even the paint, right? That we're not working with acrylic paint today, but I'm just trying to explain, like, this is why it's important for you to discover your own way of working with the materials, the process, what is the thing that's grabbing you, because look, this materials thing is like important to me in a strange way, maybe, but like that's what works for me. So maybe this doesn't work for you, or maybe you find one thing that is interesting and then you apply it. But overall, I'm kind of saying, do what works for you, and allow yourself to let go into the moment with the materials, and don't listen to like, oh, it's student grade. That will really hinder you. We're talking about freedom here. So you want to do what's most free. And that's just the way I see it. So, enough of my little PSA. Let's just get to it. Like I said, I like to sometimes drag my hand right into it. Maybe you don't want to make a mess, but I kind of love a good mess, like I said before. Oh no, it's just building your own relationship to it, the mark in the moment, and allowing yourself to have this like time. And like, so now I have a lot of color on the page, but I might want to go into something more neutral. I love graphite for my neutral. There's something also about the way graphite feels. I always put a little graphite in there. What's nice too is you can drag these through like acrylic paint. So we're just having like a drawing moment. And like when you're exploring with the materials, it's like you could be looking for what's going on, but you don't really have to worry, like, is this like something I want to keep? We're just like seeing what happens with the material. And maybe you want to keep it, maybe you don't, you know? Or maybe you just think, oh, it's time to change it out. That's why it's important to maybe get some paper that you can just experiment on. But it doesn't mean that you won't save it either. You have to like determine that for yourself. A lot of times, like, I'm just gonna play off of, I just did this mark here on the left with the watery thing, and then I brought in the blue and kind of like playing into that relationship with the mark. I would say I'm not always thinking about that stuff because it's so automatic for me at this point that I just let go, and that's something you should train yourself to do if you're interested in. And there's like, I think, layers and levels to letting go. And eventually too, there's like a lot of things. It's like the technical level is one, knowing kind of the quote rules, but then like for me, wanting to abandon everything completely, that's like where the freedom is. But like knowing that still, how do I hold this together, like compositionally, and how do I break the structure entirely, which I'm really interested in. But yet still have structure. But the thing is, I'm often challenging, like, well, does it really need to be that way? Like, the way it's said. And that happens in my artwork, and it happens in my life. I'm always kind of, like, questioning the things that are put before me, and not so eager to agree. Like, I really want to do it my way. And, that's, to me, where freedom comes from, is, you know, kind of, like, it doesn't mean you don't learn, obviously, but it's like you consider all those elements, and then you just go, all right, I respect that, but I want to move on to what is most interesting to me. And, oops, I just used a pen. Sorry, that wasn't in my, 8 things. But I just love a ballpoint pen. So there you go. It's a bonus. I mean, it's a real simple thing. That's another good point right here, though. A simple thing that could be overlooked, right? Ballpoint pen. But it makes a nice mark, and it has a nice feeling to it. This is a Pilot G20.7, I guess. Ooh, this is nice. So now, I might want to pick up this graphite square thing. What I noticed too is just like going around the page and seeing where these little, I had the big swooshy moment with this blue here. Swooshy. Make the swooshy mark. And then, there's an interplay. I'll just take a moment here and talk about that. So we started here on the left with this mark, and then we went into this blue mark, what kind of mirrors that mark. And then I don't know what came next. I think this one. But there's kind of like a dance on the page, happening, and it's like a call and response, and there's big moments and there's little moments, but they're all like kind of intermingling together. And right now, I really feel called to put some yellow in there, and that's just how I'm feeling. Like, I don't know, I'm feeling like yellow. But how yellow do I want it to be is the question. I don't know, maybe this yellow. This is kind of gonna be brighter. And then this is gonna be a little bit darker, this yellow oxide. Well, who says we couldn't have both? That's the cool thing about art making, right? No one really says that it can't both be there. You get to determine it as the artist and the creator, and I think that's so cool. So just another pop of color, because monotone is too monotone for me, at least. All right, well, that's it. It's all about, having fun and letting go and not worrying about all those labels and all those rules and, you know, because that's no fun. You want to just let go into the experience of it, and sometimes it's not even what the material doesn't matter as much as you, the person driving the materials into the expression, is maybe even the higher thing. So materials just gives us access into the way in. So get creative, start experimenting, have fun, and see what happens.